My name is Natalie. I'm 28 years old, and I work as a freelancer. I met my husband while I was still employed at my company. He was instantly taken with me, thanks to our professional connection. He told me, "I like your face." While I was flattered by his compliment, I decided to give him a chance. That's how our relationship began. During our courtship, my husband was incredibly considerate and made every effort to make me happy. As our wedding approached, I decided to leave my job. Having spent my whole life in the corporate world, I finally pursued freelancing, which had always been my dream. It wasn't long before I realized that freelancing also came with its own set of demands. I hoped that working from home would allow me to be close to our child when they were born. However, my mother-in-law was not pleased with this plan. She often criticized me for not working outside the home, and whenever I visited my in-laws, she would barely acknowledge my presence. Fortunately, my father-in-law Alex was supportive. He would defend me, saying, "It takes a lot of skill to earn a living from home. Natalie is incredibly talented. She graduated from a prestigious university and worked for a major company. It's clear she knows what she's doing." But my mother-in-law would retort, "It's lazy of her to stay at home all the time while I'm still working part-time." To which Alex would reply, "I wouldn't say that. Natalie is working hard, isn't she?" And I would add, "I'm doing my best, though I don't know if I'm the best, but I'm certainly giving it my all." Humph. What does that mean? It was clear my mother-in-law was offended by the praise my father-in-law had given me. She scowled while my husband, standing next to her, was engrossed in a game on his smartphone. "Derek," my mother-in-law said in a haughty tone, "why did you marry someone like this? Natalie is your wife." "Well, what can I say? I like her face, and she handles the housework really well too." "Is that so? I don't think she's that attractive." Honestly, I thought I'd end up with someone less appealing since I didn't think anyone would look at me twice. "Oh, really, Derek? You could have had someone much more beautiful." "Well, she's also quite successful working from home." "In that case, I'll ask her to buy me a new bag." As they continued, my father-in-law's anger grew. "What are you saying? Aren't you ashamed of yourself? I don't understand why you're so dismissive of Natalie." "I have a lot of respect for Natalie, so don't judge me." "No, you don't. You won't even stand up for her. Do you enjoy hearing others belittle her? I'm furious." "Natalie, you don't need to listen to any of this." "Yes, thank you. If you want, you can just get a divorce. You don't even have kids yet." "What are you talking about? If you divorce, people will start spreading nasty rumors about you. You only care about yourselves. I've had enough." My father-in-law stormed off to his study, fuming. Meanwhile, my husband and mother-in-law continued their conversation, completely ignoring me. I was determined to return to my parents' house as soon as possible. Eventually, I decided to confront my husband about my feelings. "I'm not going to your parents' house just to be ignored." "She's not ignoring you, you're just being paranoid. She's your mother. She constantly complains about my work and grumbles to you about me. Are you saying you don't respect my parents?" "Exactly." "Well, I don't have much respect for your mother, just for my father-in-law." "What? Your father always supports me, but you and your mother-in-law are always belittling me." "That's not true, you're just imagining things." At that moment, I was ready to divorce him and go back to my parents' house. When he realized this, he shouted, "I won't let you divorce me. You're not going back to your parents' house." I felt like he had lost all respect for me. If he was so interested in someone more attractive, then why wouldn't he just agree to a divorce? If you think you'd be happier with someone else, then let's get a divorce. Every time my mother complains about me, you don't just side with her, you actually support her. One slow day at work, I decided to go to City Hall and pick up the divorce papers. I filled out my portion as soon as I got home and called my parents. They were outraged when they heard about the things my husband and mother-in-law had said. "I didn't raise you to treat her like this," they said sternly. When my husband came home from work, I handed him the completed divorce papers. "Fill these out quickly. I want to finalize the divorce immediately." "What are you doing? Why are you acting like this? Are you having a breakdown?" What are you talking about? I don't even know why I'm with you." "I care about you. All I ever do is think about you, Natalie." All I could reply was, "You're lying," because I had recently discovered my husband's infidelity. While brushing my teeth one morning, I noticed he'd left his phone in the dressing room. Though I didn't intend to snoop, I happened to see a message. I want to make out with you again. Your kiss was so good it made me feel like a god. The message was so disturbing that it made my skin crawl, fearing exposure if I forwarded the message. I instead took a screenshot and airdropped it to my phone. I then used a credit agency to investigate further, uncovering that my husband was involved with several young women at work, under 30, tall, and attractive. His behavior was despicable. I was seething with anger, but I knew that confronting him with divorce papers might only lead to him ignoring them again. So, I decided to return to my parents' house to handle the divorce proceedings more effectively. On a Saturday, my husband suggested we visit my in-laws again. My mother-in-law just ignores me anyway. I really don't want to go. My mom wants us to visit today. Oh, really? Yeah, come on, don't be like that, just get ready. I love getting ready just to be ignored. Nobody's ignoring you, it's all in your head. At least I can talk to your father, he's very kind. What's that supposed to mean? Are you saying my mom's a bad person? I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. Remembering that my father-in-law had recently shown interest in blogging, I decided to bring my laptop along. Though he's not yet 60, he seems unfamiliar with how to start and maintain a blog. If I brought my laptop, I could do my own work and maybe help him get started with blogging. When we arrived at my in-law's house, my mother-in-law greeted my husband with a warm hug and offered him tea. Well, there was no tea for me, I thought to myself, amused by how clearly she was showing her disdain for me. Wow, so this is how you start a blog? Yes, it's actually simpler than you might think. I assumed it would be more complicated. Is tagging hard? It gets easier once you're familiar with it. Oh, Natalie, I'm sorry for bothering you about blogging when you're busy. It's no problem at all. My father-in-law brought his laptop and immediately began working on his blog. I continued with my tasks while keeping an eye on him. My mother-in-law shot me a sideways glance and remarked, I could handle that myself. It's just a matter of typing. It was clear she was being sarcastic. When I replied, she ignored me once more. I said, there's no need to be rude. Despite the tension, my husband continued to insist that we visit his parents' house repeatedly. I really don't want to go. It's my mother's birthday today. Oh, right. What's your problem? We're going. I'm not going. What? I've already told you, I'm not going. Your father is nice, but I don't want to deal with your mother's sarcasm or be ignored constantly. What on earth? You're completely unreasonable. You're the one who's out of line. What's wrong with you? You're a terrible wife. Maybe you should be the one to leave. In a sudden burst of anger, my husband stormed out of the house. I quickly packed my things into an overnight bag. He was eager to leave for his parents' house, and since he had always thwarted my attempts to return to my own parents, this was my chance to get away. Does he not care about me at all? Is he avoiding divorce because he's worried about family shame or feeling guilty about the affair? Either way, it doesn't matter. I'm determined to secure a substantial alimony payment from him. When I got home, my parents vowed never to let me see my in-laws again. Then, when I told them about my husband's affair, they were furious and their faces turned red. I can't believe he turned out to be such a terrible person. They expressed their anger with strong words. Later, my husband called me when he returned home and found my things missing. Hey, where are you? Why do you care? I'm at my parents' house now. What? Are you serious? Why would you go back to your parents' house? Why? Because you're an idiot. Not only do you belittle me, but you're also cheating. Oh, so you thought you were a great kisser? I had to fake it all these years. From the first kiss, I thought you were terrible. Why are you saying this now? I don't care. That's revolting. I'm filing for divorce. Wait, if you do that, you'll ruin my reputation. You think you're so high and mighty, don't you? A few hours after ending the call, my husband arrived at my parents' house with my in-laws. Just as my mother-in-law was about to speak, my father-in-law, Alex, turned to my father and said, Sir, I'm deeply sorry for everything that's happened. I regret not being able to support Natalie more. Who do you think you are? I can't believe how foolish my wife and son have been. Stop it. Actually, I've been wanting a divorce from my wife as well, and you just gave me the push I needed. What are you talking about? It turns out my wife has been having an affair with the manager of the store where she worked part-time. When Alex, my father-in-law, discovered this recently, He was already considering divorce. My mother-in-law begged me not to go through with the divorce, crying and pleading. Meanwhile, my husband and mother-in-law became increasingly agitated, both in shock, while my parents looked on in disbelief. Afterward, my husband and I finalized our divorce, and Alex also divorced my mother-in-law. Both my ex-husband and mother-in-law were found guilty of infidelity, which led to substantial alimony payments. My mother-in-law has taken on multiple part-time jobs to cover her alimony obligations, working as hard as she did in her younger years. My ex-husband resigned from his job and is now searching for new employment. They're currently living together in a studio apartment, and they seem to be getting along well. As for me, I'm searching for a new place to live while staying with my parents. I'm hopeful that I might find true love again and look forward to the possibility of remarrying in the future.